everybody. Alexander here says hey. Scarlet says hey. Scarlet, come here. Here we go. There's Scarlet. Yes. She got a new collar and a new tag because the other one fell off and I don't know where it is. Yes. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to the camera. Say hi, everybody. I know. Unfortunately, it's 4th of July, and she's been a little freaked out by the fireworks. Scarlet's gonna be just fine. Yes. Alright. Okay, so I said last time it wasn't going to be this long before we did Alexander the Great, and well, what do you know, it's been this long again. Sorry, you know, things just kind of took over, but we're back at Alexander the Great. I remember last time he had gone down into Africa, and he had made it quite a ways into the Persian Empire. So I'm assuming that he eventually takes over the entire Persian Empire as well. I mean, he has to, right? Because I know that he took over what was... I think I made a mistake in saying the known world. It wasn't quite the known world, but it was a good portion of it, I think. I'm gonna see how far he gets this time in it. And unfortunately the fireworks are going off right now outside and Scarlet's freaking out. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. And she's under the desk now. But without any further ado, I think what we'll do is just go ahead and jump into this and kind of get caught back up again, because like I said, it's been a while. But looking forward to getting back into some ancient history. I've also got a request on Patreon that has to do with ancient Rome that I'm really looking forward to. So let's just go ahead and let's go back to ancient Greece and let's see how far Alexander the Great gets this time. I love the music in these videos.
In 334 BC, Alexander, 21-year-old ruler of the small Greek kingdom of Macedonia, led an invasion of the vast Persian Empire. It seemed impossible odds. But thanks to Greek military dominance and Alexander's fearless leadership, he won 2 great battles against the Persians, at the river Granicus and at Issus. Having subdued Persian lands west of the Euphrates River, he now headed east into the empire's heartlands, seeking a final showdown with the Persian king, Darius III. Receiving news that a great Persian army led by Darius had assembled at Gaugamela, near modern Mosul in Iraq, he made straight for it. This was Darius's last chance to stop Alexander, and Alexander's chance to smash Persian power once and for all.
Okay, so King Darius, or I've always heard it as Darius, but whatever. He, you know, I guess he didn't have any defenses east of he just said where it was, the capital where he is, of this Persian Empire. So, I mean, there's a lot of land to the east, so that's interesting that he doesn't have a way to defend it, I guess. Also, I was just thinking, like, he was talking about the impossible odds of invading the Persian Empire, and yeah, like, it's huge. And you're coming from what is a kind of a much smaller, anyway, Macedonian kingdom, state in the Greek area. I just got done watching a video on Cristiano Ronaldo, and they were talking about, you know, like, how he has a lot of ego and he's so confident, you know, but he was just doing things that most people wouldn't do. And it just got me thinking, like, what if he was, like, back in this day? Would he have been another Alexander the Great or another Napoleon? I just wonder.
Chance to smash Persian power once and for all. Darius had chosen to fight on open ground, where his advantage in numbers would be more telling. His soldiers had also worked hard to clear and flatten the terrain to make it suitable for Persian war chariots.
Just a bloodbath waiting to happen here.
By modern estimates, the Persian army was between 50 and 80,000 strong, and made up of contingents from across the empire.
I'd be wanting to be on the very
Infantry
back
from
of all
Syria
this.
and Babylonia. Cavalry from Armenia, India, and Central Asia. Up to 200 scythed chariots.
They're from all over the place, aren't they?
Even a handful of war elephants.
Okay. Now, I have done a couple of videos on India where elephants were used quite a bit in their culture for things, and a lot of you guys mentioned that they used to be used in war like this. What in the world is this contraption? It's like a chariot, but on an elephant's back. Was this like like an ancient tank type situation? What's the tactical advantage of being on elephants like this? Obviously, elephants are huge and they can like mow down, you know, whatever's, you know. A person against the elephant probably wouldn't have a whole lot of a chance, maybe, but I mean, all you gotta do is just stab the elephant in the side, right? It's a pretty big target, too. I didn't even know about this, though. This is the very first time I've ever seen anything like this before.
A handful of war elephants. Alexander's army was smaller, and may have been outnumbered by as much as 2 to 1. He deployed his units in their usual formation. On the left flank, Thracian and Thessalian cavalry, commanded by Parmenion. In the centre, the Macedonian veterans of the phalanx, each armed with their 18-foot sarissa pike. On the right flank, Alexander with his elite cavalry, the companions, and his best infantry, the hypaspists. These were the units with which Alexander planned to launch his main attack. Greek hoplites formed a second line and supported both wings, which were angled back to guard against encirclement by the Persians.
Definitely, I mean, the way they're depicting it, it looks smaller.
The battle began when Alexander led his wing out to the right, a move that took the Persians by surprise. Could Alexander really be trying to encircle their huge army?
I mean, this is just so bizarre to me. Like, modern war tactics, I guess, have muddied my mind a little bit, but this is, or I just haven't been exposed to this, but the idea, you're just standing there waiting for people to run up and attack you. It's weird. Like, I understand this is how they had to do it back then, but still, it's so weird just like standing there and just taking it. You know? I also have some of you say, well, this is just a game. It may not be really accurate in the way it's showing things. So I'm I guess taking this with a grain of salt. But this has to be somewhat accurate, right? I mean, this has to be somewhat like what it was. It's just like, I can't even imagine. Like, if I was one of those soldiers, I would be having a panic attack. I would want to be on the very back row, hoping that the enemy never got to me.
Persians mirrored his movement, taking troops away from their center to outflank Alexander and prevent him leaving the area they'd cleared for the Persian chariots. But Alexander's unusual maneuver was a trap to entice the Persians to weaken their center. When he saw that it had worked, he ordered his Greek cavalry to charge to keep the Persians fixed in position. A giant cavalry battle developed on the right wing. Darius, meanwhile, judging this to be the decisive moment, unleashed his chariots. But expert Agrianes javelin throwers took out horses and crews.
Oh, no.
While the Greek infantry opened lanes, allowing the chariots to pass harmlessly through. Now Alexander led his companion cavalry and parts of the Macedonian phalanx in a headlong charge straight at the weakened Persian center, fighting his way towards Darius himself. The sudden ferocity of Alexander's assault threw the Persians into panic. The center of the army broke and ran, King Darius himself leading the rout. But Alexander's left wing was in serious trouble. Parmenion, facing a huge onslaught by Persian cavalry, was virtually surrounded. India.
I mean, how do you not keep the horses from freaking out and just doing what the heck they want in this situation? I mean, I know you can train horses, but still, this is just chaos. Like, how do you keep them under control in this situation? Because if I was a horse, I would be panicking. But then again, like, you're kind of like just sandwiched in. Like, there's probably not a whole lot you can do or go or know where you can go. Yeah, I think when it comes to warfare, I prefer bullets and like, I don't know, there's just something about this style of warfare that just is a little bit cringier to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just too squeamish for it. I don't know. But man, I mean, it's interesting to see and learn about. Like, I feel like I need to learn about this stuff, but at the same time, it's hard for me to watch. Like, compared to the Napoleon stuff, it's hard for me to watch.
Indian and Scythian horsemen had even ridden through a gap in the Greek line. But rather than wheeling and attacking the Greeks from behind, they'd carried straight on to loot their camp. Sent a desperate appeal to Alexander for
Look at the
help.
horse with all the blood all over it! Oh my...
The king abandoned his pursuit of Darius, regrouped, and charged the Persian right wing.
How do they know all of these details? Is there, like, are there war records of exactly what happened here? Because this is a while back, you know? How much of this is like facts that like they know 100% this is what happened because it's documented, or how much of this is just like guesses based on studies done of the battle or whatever? And if there are studies done on the battle, how do you do those studies?
It was the hardest and bloodiest fighting of the battle, claiming the lives of 60 of Alexander's companions. Finally, as news of Darius's flight spread across the battlefield, the last Persian horseman turned and fled. The Battle of Gaugamela was a stunning and complete victory for Alexander. According to ancient sources, he lost just a few hundred men, while the Persians lost thousands.
So they're ancient sources, apparently.
Alexander had routed Darius's great army. And now the road to Babylon, the empire's main capital, lay open.
Okay. I was wrong about the
Macedonian
capital.
king entered the great city in triumph, recognized by Persian officials as its new rightful ruler.
Wait a second, so why was King Darius not in Babylon defending that? Why is he all the way up there in I forgot how you say that Gaugamela? So Alexander just goes into Babylon and he's like, hey guys, I'm the king now? Okay. Apparently I don't understand how stuff worked back then.
So too at the city of Susa, where Alexander ceremonially took his seat upon the royal throne of Persia. In the Zagros Mountains, at a pass known as the Persian Gates, a courageous Persian force held up Alexander's army for a month. The Greeks eventually found a mountain path that bypassed their position, allowing them to encircle and wipe out the defenders. In early 330 BC, Alexander reached Persepolis, the empire's ceremonial capital. Alexander wanted to appear as a liberator to the Persians, as a legitimate successor to King Darius. But now he ordered Persepolis to be pillaged and burnt. Retribution for the Persian invasion of Greece and the burning of Athens' sacred temples in 480 BC.
So he wants to be seen as a liberator, but then he like just goes and burns everything? Am I missing something here? We understand revenge, but...
Alexander now headed north into Media, where Darius had taken refuge in the royal city of Ecbatana. Alexander was determined to capture Darius, but the fugitive king fled east in the hope of raising a new army in the provinces of Parthia, Bactria, and Sogdia. It was not to be. As Alexander closed in, the Persian king was murdered by one of his own governors, Bessus, who then proclaimed himself the empire's new ruler.
I don't want to do that.
Alexander gave orders for Darius to be buried in the royal tombs of Persepolis, alongside his ancestors. Then he paused
thoughtful, I guess,
to organize his vast new empire.
What about the guy that
Alexander
killed
appointed
Darius?
viceroys to rule the provinces on his behalf, keeping several Persians who had sworn loyalty in their posts. Then he resumed his march east, his goal to find and kill the usurper Bessus, subjugate the empire's eastern provinces, and reach the far edge of the world.
Okay, well, I was a little confused at the end there where I forgot the name of the guy, but he killed King Darius, and then declared himself the emperor of the empire, and then no more mention of him. I guess he decided to step down when Alexander declared himself the emperor of the empire. Not sure how that worked out. Yeah, I think this type of warfare is going to take some getting used to. For me is very different. Obviously, I've not had, like I said, the exposure to it, so I'm not used to seeing this style of warfare, and a lot of the tactics are the same, I feel like, to Napoleon maybe, and maybe World War II as well, but the methods obviously are different. Just the amount of animals, again, like, I'm a huge animal person. It's sad to me. Like, a lot of you guys in the comments told me that they treated horses back then as like machines, basically. They didn't think of them in the way that we might today. Still, like, I still, just the amount of animals that were led into battle like that is, I'm just really glad that we're in an age now where if we're gonna do that, we use machines, like real machines, instead of horses and stuff. Although I'm sure the animals are still used by some countries, and of course, we use dogs in our military to help out with stuff too. So I mean, they're being put in danger, I guess. Yeah, so this is just giving me a good like military overview of what happened with Alexander the Great, but I don't know anything about him in particular other than he was very egotistical. Sounds like. I feel like I'm gonna have to get into another documentary, like learning more about him exactly, and like his story and why he did these things and everything. And I know a lot of you guys have mentioned that the channel Historia Civilis or something like that they also have a really good Alexander the Great documentary series as well, so maybe that would be a good one to also do. But anyway, we will have probably a Roman themed video coming up soon here as well. So again, this is my Patreon request. Speaking of Patreon, you'll find the links to that and my Discord and my social media in the description of this video and in my pinned comment. And also make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Thank you guys so much for leaving the comments on my other videos. Like I said, I do read through them. I may not remember everything because there are literally hundreds or thousands of them for me to kind of like go through, but I try to use them to learn as well. So I really appreciate all of you sharing your knowledge with me. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Alexander here and I thank you guys for watching as always, and we will see you next time for part 4.